The three most important things for salespeople are prospecting, pipeline, and productivity. I mean, if you have those things in place, everything else is academic.
Hi, it's Doug Lehman, breaking it down in layman's terms. We got a special guest here, Jeb Blount.
Hi, Doug. How you doing, man? Thank you for doing the interview, and thanks for coming to OutBound.
I'm excited and finally get a chance to meet you in person. I have watched all these speakers online, 5 dynamic speakers at the inaugural OutBound conference here in Atlanta, my hometown right now, and Jeb down the street in Augusta.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you about OutBound. It's the first event they've had, and it's awesome. I've got a chance to see all these guys online with their social presence, talking prospecting, just true sales leaders. Now, Jeb put this event together. Jeb, how did OutBound start?
Well, it was funny. One day, Anthony calls me and says, we ought to do this thing called OutBound Conference, and I just bought outboundconference.com, and as soon as he said it, I was like, we got to do that. I mean, that's money, and it was at that moment, this was in January of 2016, that we really started talking about, putting this thing together, and it took us about a year. We'd originally scheduled it for October and realized that we needed, you can see what all the planning that went into this, and we needed to be a little bit more intentional and conscious about the things that we were doing to give people a great show. But that's basically how it came about, and then we called the other guys and said, we want to do this thing, and it was just the natural next iteration of this, and I think that what I find is that people are so hungry for this message.
They are, and you know what I loved about the event is the 5 speakers all had their own little spin. Not spin selling, we're talking prospecting, whether it's high profit prospecting. But what touched me about your presentation, the tenacity, fanatic prospecting, and make one more call.
Make one more call, absolutely. I mean, from a make one more call standpoint, I don't know if you can't see this in the video, but I even wrote it inside my jacket because I think it's so important to me to remember that, it's that one more call, it's that one more, that extra that you give every single day that adds up over time.
And what Jeb talked to about fanatic prospecting, mindset. Talk on that a little bit.
Well, I mean, if you have a fanatical prospecting mindset, and instead of looking at prospecting as something that is a drudgery, which look, prospecting is a tough thing to do. You start thinking, I'm looking under every rock. I'm carrying business cards around me. I'm talking to strangers everywhere I go. Every place I can go, I'm talking to somebody, trying to make a connection, trying to bring something into my pipeline.
Keynotes, dropping the knowledge, social presence. I loved everything. You guys are all accomplished authors. Is there another book in the works? I know you just released one. So can you give me an exclusive here?
I just released one, Sales EQ, is my brand new book, and it's breaking all kinds of records in sales. My publisher is so happy, and we sold more books in like 4-day period than most sales books and sell in a lifetime. So it's been a real big deal, and so right now Sales EQ is what I'm focused on. But I have a 3-book contract that I've signed with my publisher. So the next one I'm working on is probably going to be more in the negotiation side. It's going to fit into EQ, where I couldn't fill that gap in, but it'll take those same concepts of how do you manage your emotions, how do you use emotional intelligence to get the best deal that you possibly can in a sales situation.
A lot of work in progress. You've done a lot of work, written a lot of books. It's the first OutBound, but I'm sure there's more to come.
We do. We have an OutBound coming up in Dallas on October the 11th, and you should go ahead and mark your calendar. It's going to be bigger than this one, and just remember, if you're thinking about coming to OutBound, this one sold out, and we were sold out 3 weeks ago. We had people even today begging us for tickets, calling in. We just couldn't. You saw it. We couldn't fit any more.
No, and you've got the keynote speakers. You know what I really like to have, the keynote speakers in the first morning session, and now you're getting to heavy content in the afternoon. And I gotta like the program guide. I actually had tips in the program guide. I've been to a lot of sales conferences, and the program is more fluff. There's actually stuff that's relevant. In layman's terms, break down one last takeaway from OutBound here in Atlanta.
Well, the 3 most important things for salespeople are prospecting, pipeline, and productivity. I mean, if you have those things in place, everything else is academic. I mean, we can help you with anything. But if you don't have a full pipeline, if you're not productive, and you're not prospecting every day to put it in there, you're going to fail, period. So it begins with OutBound. So what we took away from the day was all 3 of those things: how to prospect, how to become more productive, and how to keep your pipeline full of qualified prospects that you can close.
It's as simple as 3 Ps. I'm Doug, breaking down layman's terms. Jeb Blount, thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome, very good, very good.
So who is this Doug guy anyway?
Doug is a sales, marketing, and training professional. Check out his website and visual CV for more info.